What up, y'all? This is Flawless Real Talk, and you're listening to Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records Radio and the place to be. You know what it is. Your host, Maloney, and I got a very, very, very special guest with me right now, man. We got the homie Flawless Real Talk with us, bro. How's it going?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Breaking Records Radio, man. Appreciate the love. Appreciate being here, man. What's going on?
Hey, we appreciate you taking the time out, man. I know you're a busy man. I know a lot of people familiar with you from the rhythm and flow, but you've been busy long before that. Like, you've had a long independent career leading up to that, and that's some of the stuff I kind of want to highlight with you today, because being that I feel like a lot of people definitely got familiar with you from the show. I think a lot of times artists struggle with everybody has an entry point to where people really start to familiarize themselves with them, but most artists have a long journey up to that point. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
And you weren't no small fry. Let's put it that way. Prior to the show, like you had some really big notches under your belt. So I would like to highlight some of that stuff and kind of just dig into some of the backstory. What made you you? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I appreciate you knowing that much. Sometimes I gotta give people that backstory, you know what I mean? And tell them how long it's been and stuff like that. So it's dope that you already know that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That I think it's I can't blame anybody for that, but at the same time, I think it's important to, really dig back and, look what's going on. And I mean, for an artist such as yourself, it was not hard.
No, that's what's up.
It's not hard because you had some notches under there, man. So and I won't specifically highlight them right now because we'll get there. So I want to start it back. I mean, really from the jump. I mean, before we go back to where I want to start it, I gotta ask, how'd you get the name for Flawless Real Talk to begin with?
When I decided to be a rapper, I came up with the name Flawless, and the Real Talk kind of got implemented and added on by the fans in a weird way, because I always felt like my music was honest, and real. So before my verses, you know how everybody has a signature, like Jadakiss has a laugh. Yeah. People have a signature before they come on, they'll say something. I would always be real talk, before my verses. So it was just weird because fans would see me in the street, they'd be like, yo, Flawless, and then they'll be like, real talk, you know what I mean? And a lot of people would discover me and realize see people doing that, and then just started calling me Flawless Real Talk. Is your name Flawless Real Talk or just Flawless? And then Beyonce came out with the song Flawless.
Yeah.
And she kind of buried me in the Google searches, and everything that was I was working towards. She just came and just it was all Beyonce if you looked up anything that had to do with Flawless.
Yeah.
So I said, man, I need to find a way to make myself searchable because this is not going to work like this. And then, having the Real Talk being everybody kind of calling me that already. I said, man, let me just, it is what it is. It is who I am. So it takes people off sometimes when they see the Flawless Real Talk, but when I explain it, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Well, no, you know what? And that's one thing, because I think for one, an MC's name is very important. A lot of people get away, especially in our generation, with just throwing something at the end of a Lil or a Young or, you know what I mean? Or some other catchphrase that becomes cool. But I think for one, majority of artists who go down legendary have a name that's unique. You know what I mean? I will say all of them because you got your Lil Waynes and stuff, you know what I mean? But majority of artists that, you know what I mean, reach kind of you go as recent as now, you got Drake. You go in the past, you got, everyone from, you could go hell as far back as Melly Mel to you know what I mean? But cats had unique names to Rakim, Big Daddy.
I'm actually in the process of I'm actually because everything has been so successful and it's been so long since that song came out. I think it's almost time to drop the Real Talk and just have the Flawless. So that's actually, we're in the transition of actually doing that. But for so long, for the last decade, it's been Flawless Real Talk, for that reason alone, man.
And it's always going to be part of your legacy. You know what I mean?
So always, man.
It's dope. It's dope. Yeah. I like that though. And I like it's a name that stands out. You know what I mean? So I did want to make point of that too, man. But so I want to go kind of really back to the roots of it all, man. So you grew up in Providence, Rhode Island?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, born and raised. Started doing my hip hop stuff there, doing shows and just really taking over the city in a sense, and just kind of growing the fan base from the roots, from home up. And then when I decided I wanted to really take it serious, and like I just at a crossroad where I was just like either gonna go to school or I was gonna really give this a shot. I packed everything up and moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And
Wow.
that's where I took the leap of faith. I really didn't have a plan. We had like a van, and we wrapped the van with like my mixtape cover, and we went down to Atlanta. And it was crazy because I had like a camcorder and a van, and I thought I was going to be the most popping guy with my face on my van. I was like, everywhere I pull up, it's over. And the first event we pulled up to, everybody had a van with their face on it. And I was like, oh, if you even want to be a rapper, that's like you have to have a van with your face on it. I'm not even flexing. I'm literally just meeting the criteria of what it is down here. Yeah. And it was crazy. I showed me a new level of grind down there because Atlanta was really grinding at that time, and everybody was trying to get it. There was so many artists, and it was a different pace from being back home, because back home is the smallest state in the country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm dealing with a handful of artists, you know what I'm saying, that really are like really making noise, you know what I mean? So over there it was much more competitive in a sense to like force me to like really, really fight through everybody to get recognition. And it was dope, man. That's kind of where my career kind of took off, started taking off.
That's dope, man. And I can relate to a certain degree as well too, because I grew up in here it's different, right? We only got what, we got like, you guys got big cities in certain states more than we have provinces. You know what I mean? So it's, but either way, grew up in a smaller town, and it was like same type of thing, kind of, you become one of the head competitors in a small area. Then you come out to a place like Toronto, and it took, damn near half a decade to get our brand recognizable to where, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, for
it's
sure,
crazy.
for sure.
So that's a struggle.
You're going into a bigger pond, you're going into a bigger pond, and you realize like, wow, I got to work harder out here. You know what I'm saying? That's what, that's where I started like really like learning about the independent grind though. Like I was doing a lot of openings for people, and then we had this Wendy's competition down there, and we got to perform for like with like Ludacris and T.I. It was like at Phillips Arena for 20,000 people. And after that, we started getting like all the openings. And then we ran into Tech9, Strange Music, Tech9. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with.
We've had him on the show a few times.
Yeah, I mean, legend. No question about it, right? One of the most successful independent artists in our history.
Yeah.
And
did 50
he saw my
with him, didn't you?
Yeah. He saw my live show in Atlanta. I opened for him in Atlanta and invited me on the tour. It was a 48 city tour. And he was like, look, man, if you guys could figure it all out, you're more than welcome. So
wow.
We had to figure out a way to get from city to city. We couldn't take the van. That wasn't an option.
Yeah. But so he invited you off the strength of that show you did.
Yeah, off the strength of that one show. We rock. And the crazy shit is like when you open for an artist, 99% of the time, and this is a gem for upcoming artists anybody that's watching this is an upcoming artist. When you're going to perform and open up for an artist, don't have that expectations of you want to perform where that artist is going to see you and like sign you.
Yeah.
Because 99% of the time that artist is nowhere near the building. Even when we're on tour, like I'm not in the building for the openers, and I'm not even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So your job is to gravitate to those fans and make them your fans, right?
Yeah.
So I'm there. I'm ready to make all those Tech9 fans my fans. So we're in there rocking. He happens to need to go to the bathroom, but in Atlanta at the time, there was no like back entrance to the green room. So he had to go through the crowd in order to get to the bathroom. So he puts a hoodie on. He's trying to get through the crowd, and I'm killing it out there. I'm just crushing it. And he stops and actually watches the whole set. And then after the show, he was like, yo, I'm doing a tour this summer, 48 cities. We actually didn't even know it was 48 cities. He just said he was doing a tour and invited us. We figured out a way to get a sponsor for a bus. So we had our own tour bus. I put my logo on the side of the bus. We pulled up the Strange Studios with a bus. And that blew his mind alone because he was like, oh, this kid is serious. We had our own bus. We were ready to go. We wanted to be like right there with them, And at this time, I didn't really understand how big Tech was because I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Rhode Island, New York area, where Tech's not necessarily that big as he is in the Midwest and the West Coast. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so when we did the show in Atlanta, he's huge in Canada, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When we did the show in Atlanta, it was about 500 people. So I'm prepping for about crowds of 500, you know,
Yeah.
and the first date was in Kansas. So I'm so hype I have a bus that I'm not getting off my bus, right? So I'm like, yo, when it's time for me to perform, come get me, yo. I'm on my bus. You know what I'm saying? I got a bus. Like, I was just so happy just to have a bus. So I'm on a bus. They come get me. Like, yo, it's time. I'm acting like I didn't know it was time. I'm opening. It's like 7:05. I knew what time I was going on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on side stage and it's real noisy, like out there. I'm like, it's noisy. That's a big that's a loud 500 crowd, you know?
Yeah.
And I peeked through the curtain, bro. There was 10,000 people out there. So I'm like, what is happening? Like, wait, what is happening? You know, I don't understand it because like it wasn't that many people when we was in Atlanta. Like, how is this possible? So now I'm like realizing, so this guy is huge in certain markets
Yeah.
because he's owning these markets. And I was like, wow, you know, I don't hear this guy on the radio every day. I don't see this guy a lot like in the press or anything like that, but he's making millions of dollars. And I'm like, and it immediately switched me to independent mode.
Yeah.
I immediately was like, I don't need a deal. I need to figure this out
Yeah.
right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I credit all of my independence of way of thinking to that tour because I before then I didn't really understand what being independent really was. I thought it was
Yeah.
just you grind and then a label comes and finds you and signs you, you know? And then after that tour, that changed my life. I never left the road. I continued to independently tour, which continued to allow me to thrive independently because as I'm making those connections, I'm coming out with music, my music's selling more, and I'm consistently growing every year. And
Yeah.
you know, that was the formula, you know, but that tour changed my life. You know, that trajectory was a shift right there, then and there. So going to Atlanta was the best thing I would have never opened for anyone, let alone, you know, it all calculated itself, you know, from one step to another. But
Yeah.
that was the turning point for me when I said, all right, I'm gonna be independent, you know.
Yo, that's crazy, man. And
Yeah.
that's one thing through all the people I've interviewed. And you know, we go back like one thing I find a common thread a lot of times in a lot of great success stories is it's a very like whim kind of thing where it could have either went one way or the other way, like just as evenly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you explain that, you know what I mean? That's another thing I say to people too is like basically, you know, success is just hard work and luck. You know what I mean? Because you'll be working enough at the point where that right opportunity presents itself, which, you know, and it can come in the form of something really small, but that little small thing could turn into another small thing. And then that might be where your destiny lays. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Everything is connected. Everything you do is connected. You
Yeah.
know, had I not taken the risk and just packed everything up and going to Atlanta, I wouldn't have met Tech. You know, it's just so many things that I wouldn't have switched my thinking, and I wouldn't even be where I am. You know, I think about when I was performing back home, we were doing like crowds of 300, but a lot of the times it was the same 300 people
Yeah.
because they were loyal supporters. So I love those people to death because they roll with us locally, you know what I mean? And they allowed us to practice every single week and get our stage show where it needed to be. Because when I went to Atlanta, it was only 2 months after I went to Atlanta that I was in front of 20,000 people. So if I
Wow.
wasn't if I wasn't doing those local shows, I would have fell on my face in front of 20,000 and nothing else happens after that. The radio station doesn't start giving me openings.
Yeah.
I never open for Tech. I never go on the tour. You know, all this just starts happening in those senses. And I feel like when things aren't happening for you, I feel like the best thing to do is just continue to keep moving because movement always creates momentum. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And things can start to happen for you. So that's the formula I've always been rocking with.
Well put, man. Well put.
Yeah.
For real talk. And you know, and it's crazy too, right? It's like because it's exactly like you said. The thing is, if you didn't have all those years of putting that work in under your belt, you couldn't have gone out there and made the impression you did. You know what I mean? And that's why I
Yeah.
think it's important, you know, like, you know, I know in the age of the internet, it's easy for cats to like, you know, just make a song, freestyle it, you know, got a little bop to it, upload it on SoundCloud, and shit can actually take off. You know what I mean? Like that shit can happen. So, but there's
You know what
it's
it
not
is?
that.
It's a new era though too,
Yeah,
and music is so much more accessible now. So like, back in the day when the time I'm talking, we're talking MySpace days. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Where it wasn't social media, it was like a website with the profile. You know what I mean? Like it was
yeah,
like everybody could have their own like web page,
yeah,
but it wasn't social media. Now, it's crazy. These, an unexperienced kid can put a song on TikTok and go viral,
yeah,
and a label can offer him a deal, and he could just take a deal and be on that fast. You know what I
that,
mean?
yeah.
Crazy.
And I don't want to take anything away from those artists and those success stories, because I think anybody who can make success it's a great story. But in a sense, it's almost like, I feel like it's like anything in life. You got to put your 10,000 hours in. You know what I mean? To really be a professional about your
I
shit.
really think it's 10 million hours, to be honest.
It's a never ending amount of
It's a
hours, right?
lot, man. It's a lot.
Realistic.
Yeah.
You never stop, right? It's continual momentum.
I
So,
don't even think 10 million dollars is possible, but it feels like an eternity. Like, for me, growing the brand to where it's been today, like, I just did a commercial with Old Spice, 2 days ago.
say
You know what I
word.
mean? Like, yeah. And it's just really evolving. That's what I'm saying. Like we're rebranding, we're elevating to a whole, like I haven't put music out in a little while because I needed to shake some things up. You know what I mean? Switch some
Yeah,
things around in my career wise and make sure that everything was on point in order for us to continue to grow. Because you always got to have a check and reset, especially with the pandemic. A lot of things got canceled, so we had to kind of re-game plan everything, put the
yeah,
game plan back together. And now that things are in order, we're really gonna start just coming out, and the music's gonna come back out, and everything's gonna be good, man. But it's really all happening at a good time. But the branding and the independence, like getting to this, it really takes a long time, and it really takes patience. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
used to always think about the end goal. Like every day I would think about the end goal. And I used to drive myself crazy. Like, oh, I need to be out getting my Grammy. I should be the artist I should be number one on this. Like, shut up. And then I started thinking day by day, like, what are you gonna do today? Like, shut up. What are you gonna do right now? Like, what
yeah,
can you do right now that's gonna help you get where you keep complaining about? And when I switched that mind state, my life changed because I stopped looking ahead. I put my head down. I started working every day. And then like a year would pass and I like poke my head up and be like, oh snap, we got really far by just shutting up and putting our head down. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And then, you look back up in 2 years and you're like, okay, I'm way further than I was 2 years ago complaining. I'm not even complaining no more. I haven't even thought about that. So now you start, you know what I mean? You really start getting it in. Like that's really what it's about, like the now, being in the now. A lot of people think about the future, that's cool, but be in the now. Like, what are you doing right now, today?
yeah,
You know what I mean? What you can control, what you actually can control. So,
yeah, man. And I think, well, and that's the thing. A lot of people with kind of the era we're in, they do think that they can just because they're good, even if they have put simply 10,000 hours and whatever it may be, they think, yo, who's gonna like, why is my shit not popping? Why people not liking my shit? Like, why like, and it's not even about that, man. It's just you gotta be consistent. Consistency is the biggest thing. And you to not be consistent, you have to earn yourself that luxury. You know what I mean? Like where
yeah.
you're at now, like where you're like, yo, I haven't put out music for a little bit because I'm focusing on things, because you're at a point now where you actually can afford that luxury. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, for sure, for sure.
To stop and regroup. But that's the thing, man. Exactly what you're saying is, if I don't see that type of work ethic in another individual, like I almost am like, what you're
But
doing.
even if you're not in a position, like a reset for anyone at any moment, like if things ain't going your way, you could stop, think about what you're doing. If it's not the right thing, like some people decide to put a song out every week. I mean?
Yeah,
I'm put a song out every week. I know a ton of artists that do that, right?
yeah,
And some artists are successful and some artists aren't. But after you do it for a certain period of time, if it's not working, you stop, you regroup. You know what? I'm gonna put a song out every 2 weeks because it'll improve the quality of those songs. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like it's just about making adjustments, but the wheels have to keep turning no matter what.
Exactly,
You know what I
exactly,
mean? The wheels
exactly.
have to keep turning.
Yeah,
sure.
man. And that's and one thing I wanted to ask a bit about too is you know, because like I found you know, like you got a battle history to you. I kind of want to ask like what kind of was your history in battling kind of before, you know, people really got familiar with you? Because I mean, obviously once you did the independent grind touring and stuff, I assume you weren't battling.
No, no. I never really battled. Like I've never actually been in a written battle outside of the rhythm and flow battle.
Yeah. But like
When I used to battle back in the day, I used to do these freestyle battles called "Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is," right?
yeah,
And it was at this place called Tommy's Lounge, and they had like 10 MCs. It was a tournament. You didn't know who you were battling. You never knew who you were battling, so you would just go there, show up, and you battle whoever. It was freestyle battle. People were freestyling on the spot. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom.
yeah,
Everybody had a couple lines in their head, but it was definitely like on the spur of the moment, you know, because you had to tailor those lines, you know, to that person. You know what I mean? Like it was all like freestyle stuff. So improv, best way to kind of describe it.
yeah,
So I was winning all the like I never lost none of those. I entered like until it finished and I never lost. So that gave me a reputation of like a battler, like a
yeah,
battle rapper. Like, oh, he can battle at any moment. That's kind of what it was about. Like, so we would be in the street and like I'd see rappers and they would like challenge me. So we just freestyle battle. And it was just like I became almost legendary in the freestyle battle aspect of like he could battle anybody on the spot right now.
yeah,
So, you know, but when battling shifted to a business, you know, with Smack and King of the Dot and like, you know, these battle leagues that were starting to like come up on YouTube with 3-minute rounds, you know, talking about this person, you know, you're going to battle this person for months, you know, and you cater these rounds. So that I've never done that, you know, outside of rhythm and flow where I had to battle the girl and I had to think about what I was going to say to her and write it down and memorize it and then perform it. Like I
yeah,
never battled in that aspect. It's always like improv, you
yeah.
know?
Well, it's interesting you said that too, because I was actually going to ask you, and this would have been later, but just because it segues perfectly. But I was going to say you seemed very much in your element during the battle on the show, right? Like that seemed kind of like I actually assumed you probably had been done more battling in that in between time, but you know, I knew you definitely had battle history to you. But so I did want to ask, like, were there any part with the challenges on the show, was there anything that you had to do that kind of made you step outside of your comfort zone a bit, where you're kind of like almost for a minute like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean, where you were forced to adapt, or were you pretty
Yeah, the
comfortable?
entire show. The entire
yeah,
show.
yeah, no,
Um, the entire show because it was different in a sense of how they structured things. Like, you know, put us in the studio with a certain producer. And, you know, I wasn't sure if they told the producer to like make it hard on us or like certain things just weren't like clicking with me personally, because mind you, I've been in the studio for a decade with no other soul in sight. I engineer, mix, master everything myself. I record
oh
the music.
wow,
So I'm not used to having people in the studio, and I'm not used to somebody controlling the music. You understand? So
yeah,
when that happened, I was like, oh, like once I got in the studio in the later rounds, I was like, oh shit, I'm not in control here. I'm playing a game. So I have to adapt to the situation and just get it done and pray that it's good enough, because this is not how I normally work.
yeah,
If this was normal, if they was like, yo, here's a studio, you have an option, you can have a producer with you, you can have an engineer, or you could do whatever you do, then I would have been like, okay, everybody get out.
yeah,
I'm sure a few of the contestants would have said the same. Okay, I don't need anybody. I'm gonna do everything myself. But that wasn't the case. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So just everything. It was definitely the entire competition. Even the battle round was, like I said, an adjustment for me because I've never battled in a written thing. You got to understand that if you are familiar with the battle world, battling a girl is very different,
yeah, yeah,
you know, because I think anything that she would have said that like in response to me that's even remotely good, they're gonna hype up because you know what I'm saying? That's just the way like a battle is with a girl, especially. So
yeah,
I knew that if it was even close, I was getting sent home. And she was dangerous. Beans was an amazing, like she's amazing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Bottom line, she's amazing all sides of the board. So I was scared. I was like, man, this girl could send me home. Like even if she says some all right stuff, they're gonna go crazy, but she's gonna say some incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So I gotta make sure that I make it undeniable. Like I really have to do this to her, because if I don't, I'm going home. So I really went into my bag of like, I need to like make sure this is no doubt about it. This guy has to move on, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I did, man. Cause she was definitely trying to send me home.
Oh man, well that shit was fierce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, and I did hear you on the complex. I can't remember.
Complex Ambition.
Yeah. But so you
Yeah,
were
it's
kind
my
of
guys. It's my guys.
yeah, man. And you were talking a bit about that too, and like just and how she came with the line about your mom, and that you're like, you watch the video, you can see me stop and actually like, oh, you see it click in. You
Yeah,
know what I
it clicked.
mean? Like,
It clicked. It clicked. No, she mentioned my daughter.
yeah,
When she mentioned my daughter, it was like I became like more aware of the situation into like killer mode. Like I went from like, all right, let me just do this because this is how it's got to get done, to like, I'm going to kill this girl right now. And that's where it got ugly. Like if you see, if you watch that again, like, I tell them exactly what I said, but I mumbled something and the camera caught it right on point. And I was like, I'm gonna kill this girl right now. Like I'm going to annihilate her. Did she just say that? And the energy went up, man. The energy went up. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
oh man. And I did want to ask about it too, like because I noticed that you did have a few of the artists on your what was it, Every Second Matters, the most recent album. You had a few of the
Yeah.
Rhythm and Flow cats on there, and I know you and Beans actually got along like early in the season, so I was curious why she wasn't on the album. Like, are you guys still cool after the battle and all that stuff?
I would hope that we are still cool. I mean, I haven't really spoken to her or anything like that. Like I'm more closer to the finalists. Like we spent more time together, you know what I mean? Like we really connected. So like obviously me and Smoke always talk, me and Troy, me and
Yeah,
Caleb, like me and London, but there's no hard feelings like on my end. I would hope that she's cool too. Like, but I'm pretty sure we're good, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But for as far as like the album, that was done very fast. Like I probably did that album in like 3 weeks.
oh
You know
wow,
what I mean? Because I wanted to get something out immediately after the show.
yeah,
And with all the hype that was going on, I just like I sent everybody records. It was just like more or less about like who can get this done now.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like a lot of people came through for me in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like it was fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. I could do this myself, but I'd love to get you guys on it if you could, type of thing. And Troy and Caleb and London came through for me like at the last minute. So it was dope.
man, that is dope. And I know one
Yeah.
thing that you're very strong on too was staying independent. And after the show, you had some offers and stuff, but you chose to stay independent. And I think that's when you explain it with your history with tech and stuff, and it all kind of coincides and makes sense. You know what I mean? But I think it's really bold, but I think it's really important too. Like I think it's an important blueprint to lay down. You know what I mean? Because
But you know what? It's not. I've never been against the major situation, as far as like doing like maybe like a label deal where you sign your label with a 50-50 partnership with a label,
yeah,
that stuff's cool. You know what I mean? But for me, it just hasn't been a situation that's been ideal for us. So it doesn't mean like in the future that we won't get to a point and we get the right offer and we're like, hey, this might be something to take us to the next level, and we're not giving up. We're not giving up the masters, and we're keeping the publishing and stuff like that matters. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it just hasn't been the right situation. But it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm independent for life. We just been rocking independently because the train doesn't stop. But if the situation ever comes up in the right situation, then we're always open to partnerships. It's just right now, the meetings that we've had and the situations we've had presented to us just didn't really make sense for us. So we were
yeah,
like, okay, we're just going to continue to work. I mean, thank you very much. We have great relationships with all the majors. You know what I mean? We can go in there and meet with them and present them music and do whatever we want at any time because we have that respect there. We
yeah,
never soiled any relationship in that matter. So It's never about like, oh, after labels and stuff like that. It's just like, hey, we're gonna remain independent, continue to grow, and maybe one day the situation will be right. But for right now, we haven't come across anything that's been ideal for us. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's I think a lot of people can become easily enamored by the idea of that. So, I got to salute you for sticking to your guns and being like, I know what we're
Thank you.
worth. And if you don't see the value yet, then we're going to continue to grow the value until you
Exactly,
see it.
man. This is the number. If it doesn't make sense to you, then we'll see you soon. But
Yeah.
it makes sense to us,
Yeah.
and we'll show you that why it makes sense. And that's it. That's really what it's about, man.
And I think it's important to know your worth. And I think a lot of artists, they're so eager they don't actually understand what their worth is
I
until
think fame and likes is the new currency right now. And if you're in it for fame, you could take a deal and be famous tomorrow and be gone in 6 months,
yeah.
but you got your fame, so like it all depends on what you're really in it for. I'm in it for long term, generational wealth. I'm in it for owning everything that I do, having my ownership, making sure I can pass my music and my catalog down to my kids so they can
Yeah.
get that residual income and licensing out the music as well. Like I'm really into, like, right now I'm doing like a lot of licensing deals and a lot of like brand deals and just stuff that's going to continue to set us up to be in that position where we're just continuing to grow. So it's very important, man. It's very important.
See, and I really enjoy talking to people like you because you get it. You know what I mean? And you said something that's very true too. It's like not everybody has to be a businessman. You know what I mean? Like
No.
if you rather have fame and you want to blow up and be gone in 6 months and just do club appearances or like whatever
Yeah,
you
grab
do
a
for the
grab
rest
a
of your
quick 500K, you know what I'm
life,
saying?
go for it.
Maybe you might owe the label, you might not, but you know what? Hey, some people just want to quit. It's all on what you really want out of it.
Exactly. And I agree with that. But I think people like you just really get it. You know what I mean? It's like if you're gonna get into something, you know what I mean? It's like you put your nose to the fucking ground and you just go until you know, till success is no longer even an option. You know what I mean? And it's very important, like the types of jewels that you drop, and like it just comes so regular to you, which is what I like about it. As to where a lot of cats, you can't even tell them this kind of stuff and have them comprehend it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
no, for sure.
it's the types of conversations I really enjoy having because I think it's really important perspective, outlook, and information. So and it actually kind of takes me back to where we were starting in your past, where it makes me curious, like what year was it that you actually moved out to Atlanta? Because the way that your business mind is and the way you see the value of the brand, everything, like, it's very refreshing. But I'm curious, like how long was it ago that you actually took that jump of
It
faith
was
to go?
exactly 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
It was
Okay.
10 years ago, exactly. That's why, like, for me, I was rapping and doing my thing, but I've really been doing this for like a decade, like for real. Like when I took that leap and we jumped on that highway to Atlanta, that's when I started, so it's been a decade, you know what I'm saying?
And you know what? And that's a beautiful thing, man, because the wisdom you have, like I was gonna say, like you seem a decade ahead of a lot of other
Yeah.
cats that are in your age bracket and stuff that, like, are really kind of trying to take it serious and stuff. And I think that's very important is, and it goes exactly to what you're saying though, man. It's like when you said that you wouldn't have done shit out in Atlanta, you know what I mean? You could have easily fell on your face when you got the opportunity if you didn't have those years of performing prior to that. And it's the same exact thing with this too, man. It's all that preparation, doing all these things all these years. You've acquired the knowledge to be able to see your brand as what it is and the value of it,
Yeah.
and I just hope that maybe up and coming artists and aspiring artists who maybe see this can really like lock into that idea of thinking, because it's so much bigger than just us as an individual or what we can get out of it here or there. Like it's about what are you doing for your daughter, you know what I mean? Like what are you doing for how's this setting up your future, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so I just think that way of thinking is really refreshing.
No,
And
absolutely.
I wanted to ask as well too, so when you did the BET cipher, I thought you said this, but I just want to make sure I understood correctly. You said when you were doing the filming for that is actually when you got scouted for the show by chance.
Yeah, well, and not by chance, but well, it was by chance, but not by chance, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
but
got you.
so when I got to the cipher, I thought I was doing the BT cipher, but it was actually the digital cipher.
Yeah,
So I was like really pissed off. I'm not gonna lie, because my manager had told me, but the manager I had at the time had told me I was doing the Cypher. I'm like, yo, this ain't the Cypher, bro. This is like the BET.com. Like, this is not it, bro. I'm like, damn. So, but I honestly it was a moment of checking my own ego, because I was already in the building. I'm in the room, right? And that's all I always ask for, is to be in the room. I'm like, the people that filming this whack ass Cypher, they gotta they gotta see me. Like, they have to hear me.
Yeah.
And my goal was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna show them I don't belong in this Cypher. And next year, they're gonna know. And they're gonna put me on a TV Cypher, because that's where I belong, at the awards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna perform to the best of my ability. I'm not gonna worry about this being a digital. I'm gonna act like I'm gonna perform like it's the real thing, you know. And I checked my ego at the door. I said, I'm thankful for this. You know what? Thank you for the opportunity. I'm here, God. Thank you for putting me in the building. You know, I did 2 takes of that Cypher with my bars, and they stopped the whole thing. And they was like, you get out, and moved me out. So now I'm wondering if I said something that they need me to change, because that's happened. I've heard that they had, some controversial lines maybe that they need to change. Maybe I said something that, the network's not going to want me to say, or something. So they pull me aside to the office, and they're like, hey, we're sorry. We're going to put you on a TV Cypher like today, because your performance was like overwhelming for that. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. So now I sit back, I wait. Everybody comes in for the real Cyphers, for like the award shows, the big managers, the big CEOs. Now they're all in the room now. I'm in there. Boom, they put me in a Cypher. I'm killing it. Everything goes amazing. I get off, and there was 2 people there representing Netflix at the time. I didn't know they were from Netflix, because they didn't say they were from Netflix, but they told me, the first thing they asked me was if I had a deal. I said, no, I don't have a deal. I'm independent. They're like, oh, that's great. Would you like to audition for a competition, hip hop competition show on a streaming platform? So the key word was like hip hop competition and streaming platform, because for me, like, I know I've seen American Idol, I've seen America's Got Talent, whatever. That's cable TV. You know what I'm saying? It airs, it's gone. Obviously, now we have, Hulu and all that stuff. But before that, it airs, it's gone.
Yeah.
This is like streaming platforms forever. It will stay there. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it could be Hulu, it could be whatever. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely interested. So then, they called me a few months later, maybe like 3 months later, 3 months after I haven't heard nothing. They called me 3 months later. Hey, I want you to come down to New York, have an audition for the producers, boom, boom, boom. So I went, did audition for the producers, came home. They called me back. Hey, we want you to audition again. I went, auditioned again, and then came home. And then they said, all right, we want you to audition for Cardi. And that's when I found out that Cardi was on it. And then we still didn't know it was Netflix at the time, I don't think. And that's when I went to New York, and then that's when the audition. That's when everybody saw that audition on the show. So, and I got on the show, and then once they let me know that I was on the show, then we got like the contracts and everything, and it said Netflix. I was like, holy shit, let's go. This is
Wow.
Netflix. You know what I mean? It was big. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. And see, this is one thing I really do like about that I find really intriguing about your story, is it is very much like the come up story, you know what I mean? And it's like, and you're not even done yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'm
it
still
is
on the way.
it's very inspirational though. And one thing that you said though, and you said something about checking your ego, and the one other interview I saw about you, and I actually wanted to go down that. So I think the way you worded it the second time you said it there is actually one of my favorite sayings, and it's leave your ego at the door, because I find a lot of people in this game will sabotage themselves because they think that they're better than a certain opportunity. And look at that. If you would have, you know what I mean, allowed your ego to control that situation,
I would have
you
gave a half-ass performance, in and out. All right, thank you. I'm out. And it wouldn't have turned into anything, bro.
and
But a
instead
sour
changed your life.
experience.
And
And
instead
instead
it
it
changed.
changed my life.
Yeah, man.
And the crazy part is, right, before that, what got me that Cypher I had done a freestyle at DJ Clue, right? I went down to Power 105. I did a freestyle on DJ Clue, but I had a cameraman with me, right?
Yeah.
So the cameraman was there. They were filming me doing the freestyle, but my cameraman was also filming too. So we go out there, we kill it, right? He's like, yo, it's crazy, it's crazy. I'm like, that's what's up, thanks. I'm like, yo, let me know when you put it out. Months go by, bro. This dude's not putting it out. And I want these bars out because I'm like, yo, I know this will get me like another like radio appearance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could probably call Flex off this one. You know what I mean? That's my thinking.
Yeah.
And then like after like a few months, man, and I'm this kind of guy. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I'm gonna force him to release it because I'm gonna put it out myself. So I took the footage. We put the footage out. Boom. Right. I'm like, we did like maybe like 200-300K on it. He sees it and was like, oh, snap, it's going viral. So he goes and puts it out. I'm like, thank you. Just did what I wanted you to do. He puts it out. We end up using that freestyle to submit to BET for the Cypher and got, so like by me, for like him not want, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna force his hand. That created that, which created that. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy, man. Like when you look at everything, it's so connected. Every move matters. You know what I mean? So it's really crazy, man.
And when you don't, that's another, you know, like you hit a lot of the things that like are very much my philosophies, man. Because another thing I say a lot is, you know, like you create a lane if they don't make you one. You know what I mean? It's like you got to kick the door in. It's exactly that thinking. Like, you know, all right, I waited a couple months. I gave him the respect. You're a legend, Clue. I gave you the respect.
Yeah,
you
legend.
didn't put it out, so I'm gonna put it out. Fuck it. Like,
fuck it. Like, all right. And it's crazy because my shit is like, you could tell it's not the official video because you could see their cameraman. He's in my video. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yo, these bars got to get out, bro, because this needs to, you know what I mean, roll me into the next thing. So, you know, it's just classic, man. It's classic, continuing to just push the envelope. There's no rules and nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. I promise you. Every time I get advice or somebody tells me not to do something, like, not that I just don't listen to nobody, but for me, it's like a lot of people tell you what they're afraid to do. Not to do what they're afraid to do, or what not to do what they couldn't do. Like, okay, it didn't work for you. That doesn't mean it's not gonna work for me. That's why I never tell people what they should be doing or anything. Because just because it didn't work for me does not mean it doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? The turnaround jumper worked for MJ and Kobe. It's not that great for LeBron, but LeBron can dunk the shit out of anybody. And you know what I mean? He has the aggression that Kobe and Jordan didn't have. So it's just like, it's not for everybody. So just like, you know, being a businessman and a rapper is not for everybody. If you want to just be a rapper and you want to do your thing and just get fame, and go get a deal. Because this independent game, you need to run everything. I was doing my own booking. I was booking my own tours. I was doing everything, setting up my own merch, selling my own merch, representing myself through a different email, acting like somebody else. Like I had an assistant, doing it all, bro. Like all of it. You know what I'm saying? And now, obviously, I got a team. I'm with WME, which is like the biggest agency in one of the biggest agencies in the world. Which is I'm grateful now. You know, but when I was coming up, bro, I did it all. So if you ain't ready to put so many hats on and be like a CEO during the day and a rapper at night, then just go get a deal, because it's just not gonna work for you. You gotta put it in.
Man, you're refreshing to talk to, man. Honestly, you are. It's really refreshing.
I appreciate you, brother.
100%, man. And so I wanted to ask as well too, like, because I know that in 2017, my bad, the album name is slipping me, but I know that you actually did happen to chart independently. Like this is before Hustle. Sorry, not Hustle and Flow, Rhythm and Flow.
Yeah, Rhythm and Flow.
Yeah. The old movie always, I always mix the two names up, man.
I know a lot of people do. They're like, "Oh my God, you're from Hustle and Flow." I'm like,
it's hard out here for a pimp.
I am.
But you actually had an album chart. SoundScan independently, like before the show and all of that. So you were working very hard. I was curious, just from my timeline of reference, like, was the tour with Tech prior, or was that after the tour with Tech that you that album would have been?
I toured with Tech in 2011. So see,
Okay.
when I tell you, like, when I went from the time I left Rhode Island to go to Atlanta and the time I was literally performing in front of thousands, it was like months apart, bro. Like, I spent
Crazy, bro.
4 years in Atlanta, but I was already on a tour bus touring the country like 4 months removed from Rhode Island. People did not understand what the hell was going on back home. Like, they were like, "You're crazy for going to Atlanta," and then you blink, and I'm like on MySpace, like on my tour bus, like, "Yeah, headed to California," and they're like, "What just happened with this dude? Did he get a deal? Did he do this?" Nobody knew what to even think, you know. So that was 2011. Then after that tour, I just continued to tour and continued to just independently tour. After I came home in about 2014, and so I spent like almost 4 years in Atlanta, and then came back home, and one of my songs called "Doctor" went viral. It got
Okay.
about 16 million views on Facebook, super viral. You know, that's when I got more phone calls. Like, I got like tons of like Eric B and Rakim reaching out, like all like legends reaching out, people reaching out.
Wow.
That's when people started, like, that's when I first got my first taste of like viral, you know, being viral, you know what I mean? And everybody
Yeah.
like calling me and like getting in contact with me. That was cool. You know, that was like 2014, 2015. 2016, I released the It's Different album and came in 23 on the SoundScan, which is big for us. You know,
That's
first week, you
huge.
know,
That's huge.
23, we're independent. You know, we don't have anything right now, you know. And that was like big in 2016. Then 2017, I dropped another album. And then 2018 was when I got the BET Cypher, you know, and I had dropped another album in 2018 called 24/7. All my albums, by the way, they all link, like they all make a statement. So like my album is different. My first one, then Going Up is the second. Against It All is the third. Uh, it's different, Going Up, Against It All, and then 24/7, and then Every Second Matters. So like it's different, Going Up, Against It All, 24/7, and Every Second Matters type of content. You know,
Yeah,
it all
it's
makes
like
sense.
it's a
Yeah,
statement in itself.
yeah, it's a statement in itself. So, you know, but yeah, that's pretty much the timeline, man. Like after that tour in 2011, I just continued to just independently tour, you know what I mean? Getting with other artists, you know what I mean? Other artists on Strange Music, like Stevie Stone,
Yeah.
Mayday. Like I was getting with everybody, like, "Yo, what's up? You want to go out? Let's do 20 dates. Come on, let's go. Yo, what's up? You want to go out? Yeah, let's do 20 dates." Like it was like that. Like
Yeah.
I was just on that wave. Like I didn't care about nothing else. It was like, let's go in the studio. And the second the project is done, let's go on tour. And this is before like with DSPs. So I was just pressing the albums. Like I had these mixtapes, like 4 volumes of a mixtape, and every volume we just go on tour and just push it, push it, push it. We were literally pressing CDs on a tour bus because if we didn't sell CDs, we didn't have gas money. We literally were set, like, no joke. We were like making enough because what happened was when we got the bus and we got like we finished everything, it was like $60,000 for the bus. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't know that we had to pay for the gas. We thought like that price, we just had to get that money up and then pay the guy and get the bus and we out. And then like we didn't realize it was like we had to get gas and we had to pay for the gas. So we're talking thousands of dollars that we didn't even think about. And we had no money. We were broke. You know what I'm saying? We were broke. We were in Atlanta broke. We had no money. You know what I'm saying? So we were like, all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna sell all these shirts. We're gonna sell these CDs. We got ourselves like a little like a CD burner with like 10 CDs at a time. And on the way to the next city, we were staying up at night and just burning CDs because we had to sell them the next day to get gas for the bus. And gas station food was the menu. Like it was like you had to get you getting gas station food and the gas. That's what we did every night on tour. It was the only way. And we survived, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the real grind. We've done tours in vans, you know what I mean? Sleeping in the van, driving the van ourselves. You know what I mean? I think we did like 30 dates and we drove the van ourselves the entire time. So,
Yeah.
you know, like it's really a lot of sacrifice that comes with this, man, for real. We were starving artists for real. Like we were starving for real. You know what I mean?
That it's the work ethic it takes to really leave a legacy behind, I think, man. And and it's impressive, man. You know what I mean? And beyond all of that, it's just, you know, I love to see that, man. I love to see, like, I guess, you know, it's the same reason, you know, when they have quote unquote industry plants. I'm not a huge fan of that term, but when they describe them and they try to give them the backstory, whatever, but it's because you really connect with that, man. You know what I mean? Like, you just telling me that story about, like, you know, like legit how you're hustling CDs.
Yeah.
Like, I think, you know, any person can appreciate the come up regardless of what you do. It's relatable. You know what I mean? As long as you've come up through something, you haven't known where you're getting your next meal or how you're gonna provide money to do this or whatever. Like, to,
And
you know
things are
what I
gonna
mean?
change. Plans are gonna change. Things aren't gonna go right. Like when we got the investor for the bus, like we were like, word, we good. I'm saying
Yeah. Yeah.
driver's like, yo, I need to get paid and you need gas. That's on y'all. I'm like, what? I can't even believe this. Like, this is crazy. So you gotta adjust and move on the fly, man. You know?
Pressing up CDs to get city to city. Like, that's like, that legit is the grind right there, man. I don't know if it gets any
Shout out to
more
the fans
fun.
too. They were buying, they sold us out every night, no matter what city we was in. Like those Strange Music fans, no joke, they didn't even know us. And they just saw our show and they fucking bought all of our merch and all of our stuff, man. It was really dope. Like they got some loyal fans. Like those are good people, man. Those fans. Like that's why I realized, like, being independent, you can get a following that will really ride for you. You know what I mean? That will really stick by you, that will really buy your stuff, that will really like rock with you through thick and thin. You know, those are the fans that I want. The
Yeah.
flyby fans, that's cool. But you know, and I think Rhythm and Flow got me a lot of those too, like the
Yeah.
flyby fans, which is fine because I appreciate them too. But I love those that are really engaged with what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that are really like there. Like, you know, I got some fans that pay attention to everything I do and like just microscopic with everything. And I appreciate them for sure.
And it's like, you know, and that's exactly it. It's like the come up story is just always so, is always so interesting to me. And like, how many times do you get hit up by people since you've done the show that have old copies of like those mixtapes from tours with Tech and stuff? It's like, yo, I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you, man. I still got this from your, like, your first
Mhm.
tour with Tech, and I still got this.
People
Like,
showing me like my business cards. I used to have these business cards and they used to have my logo on them and like all my social media info. And it was just like an easy way for me to just make sure people got connected with me. So I would always keep the business cards because like whether they didn't have nothing for me to sign or like, you know, we would do the meet and greets and they'd be like, oh, like, and I'll be like, I would have a postcard with my picture, my social media, and like, here, you could take this with you. So that way they could have something. So a lot of people would show me those, like, oh, remember you gave me this like at the meet and greet, you know, or a lot of that. So, and it just reminded me too, like, you know, just finding ways to just make sure that then people leave with you know,
yeah,
whether they bought anything or not, they left with a signed postcard with my picture and my social media on it. You know, everybody's gonna take one. It's just it's
yeah,
science. You know, I just did a show. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to spend no money, that's cool. Here you go. Don't worry about it. You don't even gotta buy nothing. Here you go. You know, make sure they leave with that social media. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So now you got a QR codes, forget it. QR code them with death. You know, just here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. Scan this, scan that. It's so easy, you
yeah.
know.
It's crazy. It's crazy the way the
Yeah.
technology is really adapted. But, you know, I think that's just that's the coolest shit in the world, man. When you get to see somebody come up like that, you know what I mean? Like, in the fact they still got the cards to show you that, you know what I mean? That shows that at that time that made enough of an impression
They
on them
could have
that they
threw it out
still,
that night. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I'm sorry to anybody that had. I can't tell you how many like of those things I done lost, like the flyers. You know, you can't give me a flyer in the beginning of the night. That's a tip right here. Tip 101. Don't give anybody anything at 10 o'clock.
yeah,
They're not leaving till 1, bro. There's no way that they're gonna keep that thing in their hand or keep it track of it for 3 hours. Like this is not happening. So
no,
if you're in a club and if you're an event, wait till the event's almost over to give somebody something because
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like then they can leave with it. Cause ain't nobody leaving with something at night from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. It's not happening.
yeah. I've definitely made that mistake in early in the days, man. You know, you give out some flyers or some pamphlets or, you know,
Them
some
shits is on
business
the
cards.
floor at the end of the
First
night,
thing you
boy.
get there, you're cleaning up the club at the end of the night with the, you know what I mean? You look and your cards are all over the fucking ground. You're like, God damn, man. Am I that trash?
Nah, it's just the environment, you know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right, though.
It's the
Nobody's fucking.
environment.
Don't give nobody shit at the beginning of the night. You know. Not
No.
only that, but once they're drunk at the end of the night, and you're handing it out to everyone. Everyone's friendly and drunk. They're like,
Yeah,
yeah.
forget it. You're like, oh yeah, hey, you go, let's get you a free drink next time. They're like, oh yeah, that's dope. They don't even know what the hell it is. You wake up with your business card.
Right? Exactly, man. Oh, I mean, I had a question, so don't mind this one. This is one from a buddy of mine who's actually he was a fan of yours. So you know, he wanted to he had a well thought out question. So I took him word for word on this. Usually I just kind of, you know, go by conversation.
Yeah, go vague, but it's all right.
But
We'll quote him on this.
So you have numerous songs like On My Way, It's All Real, and Against It All, which are inspiring, but also give insight into your struggles on your journey to success. However, on the intro to Against It All, you mentioned how scared you are of failure. Is there any particular moment in your career where you felt like you failed?
That's a great question.
That's why I had to take word for word. He said it. I'm like, yo, bro, I gotta literally ask you as you said it.
I didn't feel like I failed after the show, but I did feel defeated. You know what I mean? I think that was the first time I felt defeated because I didn't expect to win because of how I approached the finale, but I wanted to win with that approach. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I knew it was a risk. Like, okay, I'm probably not gonna win if I go against what everybody's telling me to do and I do whatever I do what I want to do for my legacy. But damn, it'll be dope to win this way. You know what I mean? So when I had my head down and they called, you know, his name and I realized that I didn't win, it hurt a lot because I was like, damn, I tried to stay true and I didn't win because of that. And that's the best way I could describe it. So I didn't feel like I failed because I left with the finale. To me, like I can watch that finale for the rest of my life and be proud of that. You know what I mean? No matter what.
You got to leave with your integrity.
My integrity, yes. But I did feel defeated. You know what I mean? It still stings a little. You know what I mean? And it's a couple years later, it still stings just a little bit, you know?
Yeah. But at least you can sleep with it, for the fact knowing, you know,
man, but I left with the integrity for sure. Because if I had done something that was like out of my element, let's say I still didn't win because I didn't really execute it, I would be like cringing at that, like, you know, and I wouldn't feel as good about it as I do now. You know what I mean? I'm proud of that. You know, I could show anybody that. You know what I'm saying? So it was dope. But that was like the first time I was like, damn, man, like I feel tired. I'm defeated. Like I thought I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then of course I fall a little short because it's the story of my fucking life. You know what I mean? So it was tough. But you know, ain't no thing. Pick right back up, baby. Realize I was on the show just as long as he was, technically. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just as good as he. So let's go. We rocking. So I just picked myself up, man, and kept moving. You know what I'm saying?
And in hindsight, with it becoming easier to live with and stuff, and like, you know, being like, you know, at least I can watch that and be proud of it. Do you think in hindsight you made the right decision?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No question about it. There's no question about it.
Integrity is very important.
It was exactly who I am. Like it represented me for everything I am from the moment I started rapping, my truth, just everything. Like if you had followed me from before the show, from years, and you watch that finale, like you could nod your head and be like, that's the Flawless I know. I don't know about anybody else, but that's the Flawless I've been following for years. So for me, it was important to stay authentic. You know what I mean? No matter the platform, man, like just continue to be you. If you don't win and you don't really stand out just being you, then fuck them. Then you ain't meant to be here. But you know, if the talent gets you there, then let it get you there. And that's what happened. Like the talent spoke more than, you know what I mean, than anything else. I didn't have no gimmicks. I didn't have no curly, no hair, no funny hair. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that comes into play with no crazy outfits. You know, I was just me, you know. So I think that's why the Eminem comparisons came in, because Eminem ain't with that shit either. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's him. Like I don't know. It's just, but I definitely made the right decision for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you use the Grammy nod for D Smoke? Is that just more motivation for you? You're next.
No, no. Oh no, no. That yeah, that is that makes it, that makes it even more like real. You know what I mean?
Like
Like, yeah,
you
that's
give
because
competitive nature to you about
yeah,
it still. Like,
yeah. Nah, I don't have the competitive nature towards Smoke now because
yeah,
I feel like I don't think we were competitive during the show either because honestly, like other than the battle, we weren't really facing anybody else. Like we were facing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? You had to be the best of you. And once the competition was over, like we have like a brother relationship. So when I see him do well, like it makes me feel like we're winning as like rhythm and flow. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah,
yeah, there's somebody from the show that's there. That means it's coming. You know what I mean? I could easily be there because I just saw my dude there. You know what I mean? So I know I could be there. You know what I mean? So it's dope for sure. But I can definitely see it happening. You know, for me, it's just I don't want to put a lot of weight on it. I know it's a line in the song, obviously, it means something, but for me, I the Grammy committee is very small. It's a group of people. So for me to like worry about the opinion of a group of people over the whole world when I got so many supporters that love me and put me number one, then I'm doing an injustice and a disservice to them. So if it happens, it's great, but I'm not gonna put too much weight on the opinion of like the Grammy committee and stuff like that or awards. Like I'm already goated, man. My fans goated me a long time ago. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
And and I think it's pretty important too because what you guys have done actually, like, because I'll be honest, when I heard about the show, I was leery on it. I'm like, anytime I've ever seen a
Yeah.
show like rappers and stuff, I'm like, it's the corniest shit. You know what I mean? You got Make the Band, you got like, there's some bad ones when we were coming up, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
like cool. But then when I watched them, like, yo, these guys are seriously talented. And for like, for you to kind of have the history and lineage you have, and like D Smoke with a Grammy nomination, it's like you guys really left a legacy with that show, man. You know what I mean? Like it's unlike anything I've ever seen in hip hop before. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think beyond, before anything else, that's something in itself just to be extremely proud of. Like y'all go down in history, man, because you were part of something iconic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we took a risk because like you said, a lot of the competition shows are corny, and I was afraid of that. I was like, damn, I hope, and I think a lot of that, like I could see like a lot of things that were happening. They were trying to create, friction and stuff like that, but there were so many strong. Like that's the thing. Like if you're either gonna get a lot of talent and less drama, or no talent and
And a lot.
all the bullshit
Yeah.
because there was so much talent and so many strong-minded people that we would come back and be like, did you just see that? Did you just see what they trying to do? Yeah, you peeped that, right? Yeah, all right. We ain't playing that. So it
Yeah.
was so easy for the strong-minded people to dismiss the things that they were doing for us to continue to have integrity for the show. And we were like, yo, we control what they get. The footage
Yeah.
they get, we control. So if you keep that integrity, they can't have a crazy show like that's full of drama and dumb shit because
Yeah.
we ain't gonna give it to them. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're gonna have to make this about talent, and it worked, man. It worked.
And that's what
Thank
made it,
God.
and that's pretty amazing, man, because like the fact that they actually were trying to push kind of some of that shit and that you guys kind of said no, like,
They were just they just weren't as happy that it was as calm and friendly as, let's just say that they just weren't
yeah,
happy that things were as calm and friendly as it was. But check this out. Once we got to a certain level and stage in the competition, they leaned into that. Like, all right, you know what? This is actually a better story. So let's lean into this. You know what I mean? Because they actually are killing it. We don't
yeah,
have to. They realized that we were it. So they was like, oh, wait a minute, like, hold on. We really don't need that. So let's stop worrying about that and let's actually focus on the talent these people have. And
yeah,
it was dope. Shout out to the crew, man. They did their thing.
yeah, man. Like definitely, like you guys, like I said, you guys are a part of something iconic like that. And it's cool that you guys are able to have that kind of a wits, especially being a bunch of, you know, though you're like-minded individuals, you're from all over the fucking map. You know what I mean? None of you guys have prior relationships, or not many of you, if any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it and I think at the end of the day, that ended up making it what it was. And it's like, you know, and it could have very easily been persuaded if, you know, like you said, you had some people in there maybe not as strong-minded or whatever. So, you know, I think that's quite incredible, and that forever is going to you know, make it something iconic. Like, you guys kind of unknowingly created a piece of art together while individually all creating art together. You know what I mean?
Facts. The entire show is a piece in itself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, man. I must say, like, that's pretty cool. Do you think that it was kind of the studio, or kind of attempting to, you know, cause a riff of friction when they switched the battle on you, like, last minute?
I just think that I think that they didn't. I think the judges were, which shout out to them, because they also took matters into their own hands. I think they showed up, and I could see Cardi looking at me and Caleb, and she was like, "I don't like that matchup," and I could see her like literally telling the producer like, "I don't like this matchup. I don't like this matchup. I want to switch some things. So we're gonna." And then he was like, "Well, we might as well do it on camera." So that way it makes it like, you know what I mean, part of the show. And she's like,
Oh
fine,
yeah.
well, then let's start filming then. And I saw her, I didn't know she was gonna switch anything with me, because she wasn't like specifically pointing at what matchup she didn't like. But then she moved Caleb and gave me Sam. And I was like, great, the white guy, you know what I mean, who's nerdy and dangerous, because Sam is let me tell you something. Sam looked like he couldn't do anything, but he was an assassin. I knew he was an assassin. I was like, oh man. And then they moved him and put Beans. I'm like, even worse. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it was dope, though. It was dope. It was dope the way it happened. I'm glad too, because poor Caleb, you know what I mean? He made top 5. If he would have had to battle me, he would have went home in the battle round. He would have never made top 5. So it would have been, you know, it would have been bad for him. Shout out to Caleb, man. Thank God she switched you, boy. Woo-hoo!
Oh man.
I tell him
Yo.
that all the time, man. I tell him that all the time. I'm like, yo, Cardi saved you, bro.
Well, that's crazy, because I know that you mentioned she was making what, $500,000 a show too. Like, I didn't actually know that she had, I guess, really that much pull, like, behind the scenes, as much as, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool kind of how you explain the process went about. Like, that's pretty interesting, actually. Like, it
Yeah,
wasn't
man.
like scripted or nothing. Like, she actually was saying, I don't like these matchups. And they're like, all right, let's film this. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
she said it. She pulled up and said it. And TIE was like, yeah, you know, whatever you don't like, change it then. Change it if you don't like it. I was like, okay.
that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And I know that you had been talking about a bit before too, like how you had a biopic and stuff that you were working on, and you're gonna, you know, you're gonna be putting it out and hitting the road touring all 2020. Then we got hit with this fucking pandemic, so it's like, you know, you're forced to adapt to change. What kind of, like, how far along were you in the process of, because people don't realize behind the scenes, the type of plans you had in motion, that's like a year of planning easily. You know what I mean? Like, that's massive plans. So to have to go back and readjust and redo from that, like,
It sets us back an entire year, man.
and
It's what
people
it's
don't,
really done, you know.
yeah,
I don't want to talk too much about it, but you know, it wasn't too happy about it. You know what I mean? We had a docu-series coming out on a streaming platform. We were set to start filming during the tour to document the tour, and then, you know, we were gonna put it out late 2021 or early 2022. I'm sorry, late 2020, early 2021, which would have been now. But then COVID hit and just kind of stalled everything. You know, I couldn't film it, I couldn't do anything, and now it's like, with no touring, it's like they really want to film me on tour. So it's like, okay, so we're just, everything's on hold until, and now I'm just starting to rebook the tour. So it's now getting back to that time. But
oh, man.
it was definitely a full year of plans, execution. I mean, it was just insane. I actually, you know, I was staying up all night trying to figure out if life was actually real, the way things were going at this time. Like, I was just like, is this all really happening? Like, this is crazy. And then, you know, the world stops, of course. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. You see what I'm saying? Like with me, it's always like you're right there. And then God's like, all right, I'm just gonna put everything on pause for a second, you know. But that's where you really got to be mentally strong, because if you're not, it can really, really drag you down and make you quit, man. You know what I mean? That's why in the Cypher, my first Cypher, I said, try to call it quits, but the payphone was out of order. Like, I tried to call it quits a bunch of times. My passion and and how far I've come, it just doesn't allow me to, man. Just gotta keep pushing forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And it's unfortunate, a lot of artists I've talked to really fucked up their year. But when I heard you talking about that in the interview the other day, I was like, yo, like, because the interview is obviously pre-COVID. And I'm like, damn, like that, like you had a lot of shit in the work, like more than even a lot of like, established artists I've talked to, like, they might have had a little string of shows or something, but like the way that was thought out and the way you're talking about it, I could tell that those plans were heavily emotion. I'm like, oh man, that's rough.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And that's the stuff that the people on the outside, the fans, don't understand. Like, they don't understand what it is like to be an independent artist, book your own tour, all the planning that goes into even just that alone, what you said, let alone any other plans you had. You know what I mean? So it's like when I heard that, I'm like, yo.
Yeah,
like,
it's the first world tour too. Like we've done all US tours.
That was gonna be world tour.
This was the first world tour. We were doing other countries. So, we're talking, a lot,
Sorry to hear, I mean, like the way that worked out, but the extra time and planning,
it's all good, man. It's all good.
It can't hurt, right? It can't hurt. Like, and I guarantee now that things are starting to open back up, once you get things moving, I bet you in another year or two, you'd be like, yo, damn, I'm kind of happy it happened that way. You know what I mean?
I just wanted to see what the shows were gonna be at the height of the hype of the show.
Yeah.
So now I just gotta create hype before I go back out. So that's what the new album and a lot of things that I'm doing right now are gonna do for us. And it's all gonna happen organically, and we're just gonna let it roll, and then the tour's gonna come in, and then everything else is gonna fall in place, and hopefully the docuseries will follow. And everything will work, man,
And are you still planning to do it international as well this tour?
Yeah. We're still international with this one, yeah, for sure.
Dope.
First international tour, man, for sure. So I'm excited.
Ah, man, that's dope. That's what I like to hear, man. Your story's inspirational, motivational, and and that's one thing I love about it is that you're just getting started. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's the shit I love to see, man. I love to see a good come up, artist that deserves it, whose really music speaks to you. You know what I mean? And I want to wish you the most success on everything, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. We gotta connect more, man, for sure.
I was gonna say, hopefully we could have you back on the show, again, like maybe after the tour, follow up, catch up with you, all that stuff, man. But we're rooting for you over here. Hopefully,
Yeah, thanks so much.
Program. Yeah, man, I appreciate your time very much.
Maybe when the world opens up, man, I'm doing a Canada run because I'm coming to Toronto.
Hey.
So this tour is coming to Toronto.
You know that venue that Drake's opening up here? I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, that's too big for me right now, though.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's too big for me.
It's only like 2,500 people, but
okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. It's a little.
I thought it was an arena.
No, it's like a smaller thing. It's like 2 blocks away from where I live. Actually, it's pretty cool, man.
Okay.
It's an old horse betting off track betting.
What's it called?
I don't know the name of it actually. They're in the middle of.
I'll look it up
right now.
Oh, they're building it. Okay.
Yeah. It should be ready, I think, probably in the next like 6 months or so. But either way, man, I'm right here in the root of the city, bro. So when you come out here,
you're gonna be my Toronto connect, man, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I can help you line up some media while you're out here. If you want to do some other radio shows and shit, we could have you come through our station, all that good shit, man.
All right, sounds great, man. I appreciate you having me, brother.
I got the Midas touch, everything I hold a touch combust to gold dust. You see me as a threat, but you don't need to sweat, cause your girl know I keep her wetter than a Gia pet. Ain't nobody give a fuck when you doing bad. Motherfuckers wanna hate when you doing good. day, getting drunk every day, waiting till it goes the fuck away. Then I wake up to another day just to face reality again. Cause the buzz of pain doesn't change a fucking thing. Nothing comes next, I wonder what's next. I used to be atheist, but now I just say fuck it, I'm blessed. Fuck it, I'm blessed. They say it's easier said than done, so I'm working till I get it done.